Arrested after the events at Devil's End, the Master has been incarcerated at a top-security prison on a remote island off the south coast of England. When the Doctor and Jo Grant pay a visit to their old enemy, they find him a reformed character. But can the spate of mysterious shipping accidents and garbled reports of sea monsters in the local area really be a coincidence? The Doctor soon finds himself pitted against the Sea Devils, an ancient race of reptiles intent on eliminating mankind and reclaiming the Earth for themselves. The third story of Season 9 of Doctor Who, The Sea Devils, aired on BBC One between the 26th of February and the 1st of April 1972. It was produced by Barry Letts, directed by Michael Bryant and written by Malcolm Hulke. It starred Jon Pertwee as the Doctor, Katie Manning as Jo Grant and Roger Delgado as the Master. By 1971, Barry Letts and Terrance Dicks had overseen two successful colour series of Doctor Who, with a bigger budget and Jon Pertwee's Doctor being based on modern-day Earth. There were great opportunities to combine the weird and uncanny with known locations and action sequences. Planning stories for their third series, Letts and Dicks look back at Doctor Who and the Silurians, the second story of Season 7. They really liked the story and wanted to do a follow-up. They wanted to make them different to what they originally looked like in 1970 and create a new twist with their origin. This would have them be of aquatic origin. They would live under the sea, whereas the original Silurians lived under the land, specifically in caves. This would be a great set piece, as they would be able to have involvement from the Navy in the production of the story. Terrance and Barry also renamed the Silurians as Sea Devils, as they thought it would be more dramatic. Barry then arranged for Naval Cooperation to be a part of the production. There were some complications with dates, but they pulled through as the Navy allowed the cast and crew to take part in the exercises and use them as B-roll as a part of the actual storyline. For example, when the Doctor uses the diving capsule to enter the Sea Devils base to negotiate peace terms. In the previous series, the Master, played by Roger Delgado, had been the main villain throughout each of the 5 stories. Barry and Terrance previously made a decision that he would appear every so often after the ending of Pertwee's second series, as he was ultimately captured by UNIT at the end of the final story. They decided to bring him back and pick up where they left off with his character. They would have him imprisoned in a maximum security compound on an island, in where he couldn't escape. They would also have him working with the Sea Devils. Malcolm Hulke wrote the story. According to Dicks, he always gave a good, workable script that was practical and wouldn't give you enormous budgetary issues. He also was great at cooperating with script editors and suggested what should be altered and what should be scrapped completely. The director of the story, Michael Bryant, was no stranger to Doctor Who. He had directed a story in the previous series, Colony in Space, but he would face a new challenge. He would be limited to modern-day Earth, 1972, whereas Colony in Space invented the look of the space station, the planet, the aliens, etc. This time he was limited to what he could do with the setting, as it was a non-fictional place. But he was very keen and full of ideas. He introduced some of the transport vehicles, such as the buggies, which were modified to bring some futuristic design to the storyline. Michael wanted to have an original design for the Sea Devils and not just something conjured up on the spot. He wanted the creatures to have foundations in truth, so they looked for creatures they could model from. When it came to the creation of the creatures, they based the design on turtles. They thought that it would bring a vicious look. They swim extensively underwater and they're capable of venturing onto land. So, if the Sea Devils evolved from anything, their basis of evolution would be turtles. By the time they had created the heads for the Sea Devils, which were very expensive and were difficult to be made, there wasn't much money left in the budget. For the rest of the costumes, the costume designer produced some green netting for the rest of the design. The Navy was enormously cooperative with the production team. Barry Letts had served in the Navy for 2 to 3 years, and Jon Pertwee had served all of the Second World War in the naval forces, much praised for his service during dark times. They knew how to talk to the sailors, and they established a good communication between each other. The production crew had an advantage with the Royal Navy, as they had more staff than the BBC. There was a queue of volunteers from the whole of the base, Fraser Gunnery, who the production team were working with specifically, just to be in the episode itself. A lot of the naval personnel that were in the story were actual personnel of the Royal Navy. The Sea Devils proved to be a very action-packed storyline for Doctor Who, including espionage, prison breaks, an epic shootout, and a twist ending. The creatures themselves would make 2 other appearances in Doctor Who. They would appear in the first story of Season 21, Warriors of the Deep, which is regarded as a terrible story by Doctor Who fans, and most recently in the 2022 Easter special, Legend of the Sea Devils, which got a mixed reception from fans. I won't go into my feelings on the episode, or the Jodie era in general for that matter. That will be a video for a later date. The Sea Devils, as a story, gets high praise from the majority of Doctor Who fans, but what do I think of the story itself? Let's get into my review of The Sea Devils. The Sea Devils is an absolute classic episode of Doctor Who. I really like the narrative of creatures that once ruled the planet are now living underground in caves, or in this story's case, under the sea. Malcolm Hulke wrote a very good follow-up story to Doctor Who and the Silurians. There are a lot of the same themes in the episode, such as the Doctor trying to negotiate peace with the Sea Devils / Silurians. Much like his previous attempt, it goes to pot, as the humans want nothing but to destroy them. But this time, the reptilians have the Master on their side. Jon Pertwee gives a great performance as the Doctor. He has so many iconic lines in the story. He references past events in history that he could have been involved in and past figures he has had friendships with. The sword fight between him and the Master is iconic as well. There is a YouTube video where they change out the swords and replace them with lightsabers. It's quite amusing actually. He has two outstanding lines in the story as well.
I reversed the polarity of the neutron flow.
You have just made them angry. Very, very angry.
He also tries to negotiate peace terms with the Sea Devils, as Earth was originally their planet. The same tactic he tried with the Silurians, which failed tragically. I also like the scene where he and Jo are crossing a minefield and a Sea Devil is trying to attack them. He honestly gives one of his best performances from his entire era. Jo gets a good rap in the story. The standout scene for me is when she breaks the Doctor out of the prison compound where the Master was supposed to be held. She freaks out though when she is looking out of the window at the naval base and sees the Master in disguise as a naval captain. She is mainly by the Doctor's side throughout the story, apart from when the Doctor is trying to figure out a solution to the problem with the Sea Devils. She gets some things to do, but not to the extent of my liking. She's good with what she is given though. The Master is absolutely fantastic in the story. Roger Delgado really knew how to play the psychopathic scumbag. Even Jon Pertwee said that Roger was the Master. He is very manipulative and charismatic throughout the story. He uses a person's weakness to get to them. For example, he uses the Warden's patriotism and the Sea Devil's desperation to take over the Earth and exterminate the humans. This makes him unstoppable, even for the Doctor. The switch he does at the end is brilliant and shows that the Master is always one step ahead. One scene that made me laugh was when he's in his prison cell watching what he thinks is a sci-fi film, when really he's watching an episode of The Clangers. It's such a shame we never got any more stories of his portrayal as the Master, as he passed away a year later due to a car crash. The Sea Devils are very menacing in the story. All they want is to take Earth back for themselves, as they were the original rulers of the planet. They only see humans, as the Doctor describes, ape that got above themselves. They could have a point. I really like the screeching sound effect that they use for them when they are injured or killed. They actually reused this effect for them in the recent Doctor Who special, Legend of the Sea Devils. The Minister is such a bureaucratic arsehole, all he wants is the Sea Devils in pieces. The Doctor frequently clashes with him on his rash decisioning. This may sound controversial, but I actually prefer the design of the Sea Devils to the Silurians. I feel that their design looks better and the voice just sounds more reptilian than the Silurians. I do have some negatives with the story though. The music I felt was quite poor. I understand it was the early 1970s, the budget and equipment wasn't there, but some of the stuff from the 60s episodes, such as the Cyberman theme from the Moon Base and Tomb of the Cybermen, sounds great. You'd think they would have improved on the music by 1972. It's definitely no Peter Howell or Murray Gold. I feel that Unit should have been in this story. They are mentioned, but I would have loved there to have been a shootout between them and the Sea Devils. Although then it would have been a retelling of the Silurians. But it would have been nice to have had a cameo. But the one big criticism I have with the episode is the Sea Devils' mouths. I understand it was the 1970s, but the mouths look really jaunty and stiff when they were talking. The new series still hasn't improved on them either, especially when they have state-of-the-art technology compared to what the BBC had in the early 70s. They could have done the same technique they used for the Ice Warriors' mouths, which was done in the 1960s. It wasn't perfect, but it was a lot better than the effect they used for how they speak. Overall, I think the story is very good. It is definitely a standout for Jon Pertwee's run as the Doctor. I think that some people who are getting into Doctor Who might take issue with the effects. It's certainly one I wouldn't watch first. I would personally go with either Carnival of Monsters or The Green Death as a starting point. It is worth checking out though, as it is an iconic piece of classic Doctor Who. If you want to view the story for yourself, you have the VHS tape from 1995 or the DVD release from 2008, which is a part of the Beneath the Surface box set. You can also read the Target book from 1974, and there are various audio releases of the story as well. The release I would go for would be the Beneath the Surface set. It comes with 2 other stories and has special features on the DVD as well, including Hello Sailor, which is a documentary about the trials and tribulations of filming the story, and the main source of information I use for this review. It also includes audio commentary commentary from the production crew, 8mm film trims, trills and continuities, a photo gallery, and much more. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at @DrFloyd1. Please tell me your thoughts on the Sea Devils, and of course, I will see you next time.